Really, have you lost your mind? Have you lost your ever loving mind? listen, listen. In our relationships, a lot of times we are having this experience that seems to be so rich and so true, but really, at the end of the day, a lot of times it's mindless. It's like there's mindless relationships happening all over the globe, all over the place, where we are not really truly bringing ourselves to a place of mindfulness, which just simply means consciousness, to be conscious in the relationships that we're having. All right, this means being considerate. This means taking into account that it's not just you, that life is not just about you, and that as you're in relationship with humanity and with other people, that we're ultimately creating a whole, right? And at the end of the day, we're all affected by one another. But so many of our relationships right now are failing not because they're not intended to be. They're failing not because it's not the right one. They're failing not because that wasn't the right friendship circle or the right friendship group, but it's because a lot of us are acting from a mindset um, that is expecting connection and all of these things to happen just automatically, right? And granted, there are some things that seem to just happen that way, where you just meet some people and you just automatically click or whatever. But the reality is, only through mindfulness can you really create true, genuine, authentic connection, right? And you hear the key word here was create. All right, we have all been given a mandate to be able to procreate, and we generally think about procreating or creating just in the sense of making children and making babies or this is that and the other. But the truth of the matter is, when we live our lives from a consciousness being present, what other words could you use for it? Intention, or being intentional. Can't think of nothing else right now, but on purpose, and being mindful in the relationships that we have with one another, we tend to and have the ability to create genuine and authentic connections that honestly, when you really think about it, can't be broken or are not easily broken, right? Because these type of relationships, when it's about presence and when it's about being considerate and being mindful and taking into account and really seeing one another as suitable helpers one to another, that's worth more than what we generally ascribe to them on a day-to-day basis. But when we approach it from that standpoint, we basically invite all of God into that relationship. We basically invite all of the oneness of the universe into that relationship and put the energy towards making that relationship a reality. And that reality means that it makes it both how can I put it, suitable and satisfying for all parties involved, right? But when we have mindless relationships, we are more prone to abuse one another. We're more prone to violate one another. We're more prone to not hear one another, not see one another. And all the soul really desires, listen, folks, all the spirit soul really desires is to truly be seen for what it really is. It's not about being seen to be showing off, but to be truly seen for what it is and to be known for who and what it is. And that in and of itself is a sense of fulfillment and greatness, to really truly be recognized as what you are, as who you are, the depths of your soul. That's what it longs for. And that's what we should be giving to one another. I really need to see you for who you really are and see you as you really are, even when you may not always be acting up to par, or needing you to see me even when I may not always be acting up to par. We're always going to miss it somewhere. We're always going to miss the mark on some end or some angle or some direction. We're going to step on each other's toes and do this, is that, and the other. But at the end of the day, when we know one another's hearts, that we have cultivated that space through mindfulness in relationships, right? Versus just these mindless things where we just are totally, and to be honest with you, a lot of times when we're having mindless relationships, we are completely out of control. And we're just operating from being high on the brain, or the same thing, like if you just smoke and get high or whatever, that same thing of being in love that we talk about a lot of times or whatever, those automatic chemical connections. And sometimes those things will create some deep attachments, but not necessarily authentic connections, right? And there's a difference between these deep attachments and having true authentic connection, right? We were designed, folks, for love and connection. We were designed to really truly live out the oneness of the spirit, right? The oneness of all that is. but we were designed to live that out. And some of our dysfunction or some of our disappointment and some of our depression is because in so many areas of our life, we're not able to live that out, or we're not living it out. But mindfulness, bringing this into, I'm not talking about just sitting somewhere with your legs crossed and folded and meditating, but what I'm talking about is truly being present, being conscious, being intentional, being on purpose, being there, being there in your relationships with people, with everybody that you have. And this is not just romantic, this is platonic, this is business, this is whatever you, however you, all of life is relationship, really. So this is what this is, and bringing that mindfulness to there. So it seems that in so many areas, we've lost our mind, right? Like we've lost our ever loving mind. But it's time to bring that ever loving mind back. And this is not just the mind that chatters, but the mind of the heart. The mind of the heart that says, I see you as divine. The mind of the heart that says, Namaste. The divine in me honors and recognizes the divine in you. The mind of the heart that says, I am love for you. I don't just got love for you. Don't just have it for you. That cookie kind of love that I'll just devour. But I am love for you. I'll stand in my being and be what I have been endowed to be, right? Right? To stand in that space and really truly be who I've been called to be. All right, for myself, for you, for the universe, for the planet, however, whatever language you use, whatever language you use. But let's move from this place of mindless relationships and being absent-minded to being present, to being mindful, having mindful relationships, and how to really truly move from this place of transactional relationships into transformational relationships, and relationships that are not just about entertainment, and nothing wrong with being entertained, trust me, right? But that are just about entertaining and stimulating, to relationships that are enlightened and spirit guided, right? And sometimes that sounds boring. Spirit guided sounds boring to people, but I promise you, when you really tap into it and understand it, you don't hear it from this religious standpoint or this woo spooky standpoint, but you really come to the heart and depth of what these things really, really, really mean. And it can be fun. It can be awesome. And some of my grievance sometimes is when that fun has been breached, and then now you're trying to figure out how to manifest, or how to manage or work through these craziness of relationships or whatever. But anyway, folks, let's not have mindless relationships. Let's move to that place of having mindful relationships that truly see and honor one another. All right, listen, I am love for you. I am. That's my I amness, right? I am love for you, and I hope that you will continue to line yourself to be love for me. All right? Peace, folks.